A knock on the door rang out suddenly on the morning of the 9th day, startling Bobcat for the first time since Raymond left. He moved away from the window, retreating into the shadows of the cabin. His body tense in a defensive posture, his striped ears erect. "Raymond," a woman's voice echoed through the door. "Raymond, are you in there?" The door creaked open, and Helen Cooper, the 70-year-old woman who lived 5 miles away, stepped in with worry etched on her time-worn face. "Oh, Lord," she whispered, scanning the dark and cold room, her eyes lingering on the untouched food bowl, the coat draped over the chair, and the heart medication neatly arranged on the table. Then she saw Bobcat's eyes glowing from the dark corner. "Poor little one," Helen said, her voice trembling. "He won't be coming back." Bobcat didn't understand the words, but he understood the sadness in her voice, the scent of salty tears welling up in her eyes, and somehow he grasped what his instincts had been whispering for 9 days: Raymond was gone forever. Helen stepped closer, her hand extended. "Raymond passed away in his sleep at the hospital, little one. A stroke. He didn't suffer." She swallowed hard. "I've come to take you to my home." But as she took another step, Bobcat shot past her like yellow-orange lightning, rushing through the open door not to attack, not to escape, but to search. Because Bobcat was no ordinary house cat, with a body twice the size of a normal cat, long, powerful legs, and a wild heart never fully tamed. He was a creature of 2 worlds, both beloved pet and wild hunter. Now, he made a decision no ordinary cat would dare to make. He would find Raymond. His instincts told him so. If Raymond couldn't come home, Bobcat would go find him. No giving up. No accepting the absence of the man who had saved his life, the only human he trusted. "Wait," Helen called after him, but it was too late. Bobcat had vanished into the dense forest, his yellow fur blending with the sunbeams filtering through the foliage. No one in the small town of Pinehurst knew that Bobcat's journey was just beginning, that the decision of an animal to find his lost owner would change the lives of an entire community, would save people he had never met, and would prove that sometimes the strongest love comes from the wildest hearts. Raymond's scent still lingered on the trail, faint, but enough to follow. For the first time since being rescued, Bobcat was completely alone in the forest. 8 years under Raymond's roof had dulled his wild senses. But instinct can never be lost, and instinct now screamed, "Go, find Raymond." As the sky darkened, Bobcat followed the path out of the forest. Though the rain had stopped, the air was heavy with moisture. He paused by a stream to drink, his body trembling from hunger and exhaustion after days without food, but hunger couldn't stop him. Nothing could. The lights of Pinehurst twinkled in the distance as Bobcat reached the boundary between wilderness and civilization. He had never gone this far before, but the scent of Raymond's Trikengen oil, old leather, mild tobacco still guided him, though it was growing fainter. Bobcat followed the scent through the empty streets, hiding in shadows, avoiding streetlights. His heart pounded at unfamiliar sounds: cars, humming, laughter behind lit windows, distant barking dogs. The scent led him to a large building lit, despite the hour. Pinehurst Community Hospital. A new smell hung in the air, the smell of death, of sickness, of strange chemicals. And somewhere, Raymond's final scent. Bobcat hid under a bush near the hospital, his bright eyes watching from the darkness. He waited night after night, but Raymond never emerged. His scent gradually faded, and Bobcat realized the harsh truth: Raymond was no longer here. Not in this building, not in this world. Hunger and instinct finally forced him to hunt. At night, he slipped through alleys, catching rats. During the day, he rested in shadows, still searching, but no longer for Raymond's familiar scent. Now he searched for something new. Something instinct told him existed: the smell of freshly dug earth, flowers, and cold marble. 2 weeks after leaving the cabin, Bobcat found it in the misty dawn at Pinehurst Cemetery. He detected Raymond's scent from freshly turned soil and a small stone marker. Standing before Raymond's grave, Bobcat finally understood. His owner was truly gone. Frank Miller, the cemetery caretaker, was the first to see him sitting motionless before Raymond Blair's grave. A bobcat. Frank muttered, amazed. From that day, every dawn, Bobcat appeared at the cemetery, always in the same spot before Raymond's grave, sitting like a guardian statue for an hour before disappearing. Word spread fast. Helen Cooper visited the cemetery, watched from a distance. "So you found him," she whispered. "Raymond would be so proud." She placed a small bag of food nearby. "You can't live on rats forever." She returned every morning, placing food and sitting quietly. Sometimes she read aloud from a book. Gradually, others came to not just for Bobcat, but to remember Raymond. Sheila Martinez from the library brought wildflowers. Tom Peterson from the garage cleaned the marble headstone every Saturday. Bobcat watched, never allowing anyone to close, but no longer running away. This was his ritual. As long as people respected it, it was acceptable. When state wildlife officials heard of the bobcat, they issued warnings and announced a capture operation. But Helen acted visiting homes, telling Bobcat's story. People listened. A compromise was reached. Bobcat could continue his visits if he caused no trouble, and volunteers would provide food to keep him from hunting in town. As October passed, the air turned cold and dry. The forests grew dangerously flammable. Bobcat sensed it. Wildlife moved abnormally. Deer sought water. Restless bears foraged. Then came the scent of smoke, faint but unforgettable. The smell of the fire that had scarred him 8 years ago. One October morning, Frank burst into the cemetery, gasping. "Helen, forest fire. West, near Raymond's cabin." Smoke rose on the horizon. 10 miles, but with this wind? Bobcat stood tense, nose pointed west. By dawn, the fire reached Pinehurst's edge, devouring homes. Highway 16, the main evacuation route, was blocked. 20 people were trapped, and hospital patients gathered at the town hall. "Helicopters in 3 hours," the mayor announced. "We don't have 3, Fire Chief Patterson warned. Then Helen burst in, covered in ash. "I tried to evacuate, got stuck, came back on foot." "How? All roads are blocked," Patterson said. "Not this one. An old trail Raymond showed me. I found it because..." She hesitated. "Because of Bobcat, he led me." Skeptical glances followed. "He was waiting at my house. When I returned on foot, he found me, kept running ahead, wanting me to follow. He led me to that trail, along Wilson Creek." "Yes, leads to Highway 29. Fire Chief Patterson and the mayor exchanged looks. Highway 29 was still safe. "Can you lead us?" "Not me, but Bobcat can. He's waiting outside." The 20 townsfolk gathered, and there, under an oak tree, was Bobcat covered in ash, a small burn on his ear, but alert. Helen said firmly, "Now we follow him." And so they did. Bobcat led them east, checking back frequently, never too fast, never too slow. At the town's edge, he turned toward an overgrown trail. "Never noticed this," Patterson said. "Old Hunter's Trail," Helen replied. The trail wound beside a stream, green, damp, briefly safe. Bobcat moved confidently, stopping occasionally to assess danger. The group followed, tired but determined. Some helped the elderly. One patient was carried on a makeshift stretcher. After nearly 2 hours, they reached a clearing, Highway 29 visible ahead. The group cheered. Bobcat stood back, tail swaying. As they approached rescue vehicles, Helen turned. "Thank you. Raymond would be proud." Bobcat looked at her with knowing eyes, then turned and disappeared into the forest. The Pinehurst fire burned a third of the town before being contained. Raymond's cabin was lost, but no lives were. 20 people were saved because of a secret trail and an unexpected guide. Bobcat wasn't seen again. Some believed he returned to the wild. Others feared he hadn't survived. But Helen knew better. Every morning, she still visited the cemetery, placing food at Raymond's grave and reading aloud. And sometimes, if she came early and stayed quiet, she would glimpse a yellow-orange silhouette in the dawn motionless before the grave. A creature of two worlds, still keeping his vigil. For Bobcat had found Raymond at last, and in doing so, he found something even greater. A way to bridge the wild and the human, the past and the present, love and loss, and in that connection create something truly extraordinary.